How many people know Kane Hodder? Exactly. Who does this remind you of? I'm going to show you how to mimic him. Hey, Kane. How you doing, bro? Love you.
I think it's more like this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Am I wrong? He
Kane
likes to
Hodder.
cross them out.
Yep.
Jamie, can you do a cane?
I can't beat that.
Love you, Kane. Love you, bro. You know, I haven't seen Kane all year this year. I mean, I only
Wait,
do
what?
like 10 or 12 shows, but I have not had the pleasure of having Kane this year. So he loves it because he doesn't have to deal with my shit. Because I razz him all the time, but I love him very much.
Oh, well, you need your cane fix.
Hey, well, yeah, and tequila too.
Yeah.
You play some practical jokes on Kane sometimes
You know,
at these cons.
and that's why he doesn't like working a con with me. We'll do a con at blah, 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 and, you know, he'll have to be on the opposite side because if we're too close, you know, I'm going to mess with him. For instance, does everybody know that the show starts at 11 o'clock? Kane shows up at 12:15. Right? So the people in his line, and they accumulate, I get up and say, I'm sorry. He's constipated. As soon as he works it out, he'll be right down. You know, prune juice is on the way. And he doesn't show, when he does show up, say, everybody, he's here. He washed his hands. And he don't get it until somebody tells him, BJ, you asshole. Now, the next day, he's always late again. It's Kane Fashionable Late. And I'll sign some of my photos and slide them into his. So they'll be buying photos, and all of a sudden, it'll be one of mine. BJ, you're a dick. He'll rip it up and send them to me. So he doesn't know what to do without me. He doesn't have. Now, Kane retaliates for the record. Anybody been around Kane when he does a little fart spray?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Did a Days of the Dead one time, me and Steve Dash, when Steve was still with us. Steve and I were side by side, and of course, Kane had to be in another room, right? Well, he came around because there was no one in his line. They were in Steve and my line. Came through and farted it. Oh, Siege, is that you? Jesus. Cleaned out my whole line. Steve started, you know, Steve Dash. Remember Steve Dash? New Yorker? You know? So he'd tell you in a 4-letter word how much you were dumb. And he just went off. So, yes, we play, we enjoy each other. Ultimate respect. He's been a great, great ambassador for the franchise, to be fair. He does 25, 30 shows a year. More.
Like I'd say almost every weekend
If he can
somewhere.
get he's a workaholic, and he's been doing that for conservatively 25 years, going back to 20 years ago when another show just started. And him and I and Laura Park Lincoln did a show together, and that was his first show. And then through the years, I was in the casino industry, and I didn't have the opportunity to go do shows. He just kept going, like Energizer Bunny, and today he just keeps going. It's like, now if I know somebody comes to my table, oh, we're gonna go see Kane next week or the week after, I'll autograph, hey, give this to Kane. And I'll take one of my pictures and autograph it. Kane, hey buddy, CJ Graham, part 6, part 7. Pisses him off. But the point is, technically I can put it, because I am in part 7. I'm in the beginning, I'm in the end, I get credits, I got paid for it, so technically, and then I'll get one back saying, oh, you one-timer, yada yada. By the same girls that came in, they'll bring it back a few weeks later when they see me. So we go back and forth, so.
You got the
it's-
same
it's
gun
all love.
carriers.
Yeah, it's all love, so don't take it wrong.
Brotherly love,
When I
right?
say something about Kane, it's not in a negative way, it's just, I've known him since 1988, 89, and ultimate respect, so.
Now the last time we talked to you, it's been about a year and a half.
A couple of years since I was at this unit, yeah.
Yes, and you had mentioned that you were about to go in for a surgery on your right knee.
Oh yeah,
How'd that
I got a
happen?
new
I mean,
knee.
how'd that work out? Worked out good?
It's all back to normal. Well, I didn't
No more
realize.
taping it?
No, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't realize how bad it was. I mean, it hurt for a few years, but the last year I would tape it every morning with my horse tape for my horses, pull my pants up and go. But I didn't realize the cartilage was gone on the inside entirely until they did the X-rays. And went, you got no cartilage. And I'm like, well, that's kind of obvious compared to the other side. So I got a new knee. VA paid for it, military. Thank you very much. And no pain, no gain, but it's perfect.
Awesome. Glad you're not in pain anymore.
It would hurt, let me tell you. I'd be like, but y'all know me. I got to get up with everybody to take a photo. You know, Kane's just gonna sit there and wait for you to come to him. And I'm gonna get up and hey, let's do a selfie. But no, it's beautiful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Jason, tell us a little bit about how you made this character your own.
Well, I'm bigger than Kane, hotter. Love you, Kane. Anyway,
You first.
I came first. Yes, I may be the onesie, but I got to be the firstie. You know what? I mean, they were going from part 5 wasn't truly as successful as anticipated. Part 4 was favorable with Ted White. Ted White and I are very similar in characteristics. I might be a little thicker, obviously, but height-wise, 6'4"-ish. So when I got the opportunity, Tom McLaughlin was very cool about saying, this is what I want. Tom and I are both fans of old Universal, you know, black and whites, you know, the old school Frankensteins and Draculas and werewolves. So for me to embrace it was pretty simplistic because he just said, I want this, that. But he didn't want anything robotic. He really wanted to be a little bit of life measure. You gotta realize Jason part 6, Jason lives. Jason comes back to life with electricity like Frankenstein. And if you think of the Frankenstein series, throughout the movie, Frankenstein gets a little smarter, learns a little bit, the dots are connecting in the brain cells. So I was able to put that characteristic. Plus, I'd only been on the military a few years, so I kind of a little attitude maybe. And I still walk 30 inches all around. It's just the way you walk after a period, your shoulders are always back. And it's not meant to be, but it just became a natural movement, which I had at the time, and it just floated right into the Jason character.
And speaking of the Universal monsters, classic monsters, who are your favorites?
Of course, Lon Chaney. Old school. Gotta like all those. There's 2 of them actually. When you look at what they did when it came to their own makeup and the characteristics they brought to the screens, going back to even the 30s. But when you see some of those Boris Karloff and stuff, you just kind of go, wow. They were the Tom Savinis of their era. You know, because send a shout out to Tom because he's such a reputable person that learned so much about this, put together in 1980 and through the series and others, of course.
You were not the original choice for Jason, is that correct?
Yeah, I was two choice. There was another gentleman and I that went out for the part, and if you guys look at the one scene that's still retained in there, which is the paintball scene, a lot of people think, well, that's me in the daytime with the arm. You can tell just by my thickness, but the paintball scene had already been shot, which was a daytime shot, and most people just assume I'm wearing padding because he's a little thicker than I am, you know, up and down. They didn't want to reshoot it because it took so much time to put everything together for the paintball. So unfortunately for him, the paintball scene came back into a daily. When they saw the daily, like it wasn't coming through. So I got a call on Thursday, and by Monday I was down, and Tuesday I was in Covington, Georgia. And so the one scene where you see the paintballs hit and Jason looks up, that's not me. And then the one scene, Christopher Swift did the maggots. And that's just this scene where you see the eye. When you're doing movies, you have first and second units. And you know, I was on the first unit shooting, and they wanted to try to get the second unit with the mags because it's very close up. Chris has green eyes like I do, and Chris did all the special effects as far as helping with my hood and makeup. So they threw Chris's eye, and then they had a maggot wrangler because they're real maggots. And they dropped him on the eye, and they take these little Q-tips and kept him away from his eyelid. So not that it's a big deal, but I always give him credit because what I've done, yeah, I was getting paid too, but I thought it was pretty cool. He just jumped in, and you know, now he talks about being the maggot wrangler eyeball. Come see me at the show. I put maggots on my eye.
That's a pretty cool credit, right?
You know what? I give everybody credit where it's due. So the other 99.5% is me. No stunt. I did all my own stunts. Nobody did anything for me. It's, you know, I can honestly sit up here and go, yep. You know, where unfortunately some people can and can't, and there's always that debate that you see going on between everybody. Why would you know, in my time, it's like I got paid to do it all. Part of the job was if you couldn't do your stunts, you didn't get the job.
Yeah. And you were not a stuntman by trade, so this was like on-the-job training for you.
OJT. I've never done a stunt in my life, never been to stunt school, never been set on fire, 20 feet underwater, breathing on regulators, going through doors, going through walls, cables on my back with shotguns. I've never done any of that. It was just part of the program. So Michael Nomad was my stunt coordinator. He kept me alive through the whole movie. So that's kind of the biggest part, because Tom and Kane and others that I've been on panels with, when they find out years ago that I didn't go to stunt school, they looked at me like I was nuts. You didn't go to stunt school? They set you on fire, you know? You know, but they pay you every time you do a stunt bump, you get extra money. Shit, how many want me to do? You know, I'll fall down just to have to redo it again and get another paycheck. But it was enjoyable. Plus, I can sit up in front of you with pride and say I did it.
What was the most challenging of those stunts, would you say?
Underwater. And the reason it was most challenging, I was 20 feet in an Olympic diving pool. And if you look at it, that's a real chain on me because you got to be your buoyancy, you go up and down. So they used a real chain. And what they did is they took 2 center blocks from anybody's house, building, walls, put them on the bottom, put black tarp all the way around the pool because we shot at night. And every time I would come up and do this and look at the little camera lens and see what I look like underwater and get instructions from Tom, then they take me back down and put me back standing on those 2 center blocks. So location, location, location. Regulator be in my mouth, I would let go of it, they'd pull it out and go to work. To be honest, you only last 30 seconds, 45 seconds, maybe, you know, when you're doing that, and then you signal for air and they come in because you can't see nothing. You gotta remember, when you've done the massing, I'm sure you've all done it, you don't see shit to begin with, let alone at nighttime underwater 20 feet. So I would just signal for air and they would just pull my mask and just cram a regulator in my mouth and clear it for me, and then get a few deep breaths, and then I would tap the safety diver that I'm getting ready, and then I take a deep breath, they back out of the camera. You could hear the camera underwater, so you knew it was running. But I gotta give also good credit to Tom Matthews. He did quite a few of his underwater scenes himself, almost all of them, to be fair. The only difference is if he needed air, he'd go to the top if he had to. Me, I was done. You know, there's no way I was gonna find that latch to unscrew. Not to mention take my gloves off. By the time you're panicking, where is it, finding it, unscrew it, dropping the chain, and fully submerged and get 20 feet up. You know, it was one of those, but again, had no idea what I didn't know. So, would I do it today? Hell no.
Even if the paycheck was right?
Hell no. Can't spend it if you die.
That's true. But you didn't.
Hell no.
And what would
That's
you...
what, excuse me, that's what they call stunt people for. Reach out and touch somebody, hey, you're a stunt guy, get over here. Yeah.
And what would you say, you know, since you portrayed such a great villain, what would you say makes a good villain?
Well, part of it is, for those of you that have been in wardrobes, any wardrobe, I don't care if you use the guy, what's his name, Michael Myers, the guy who uses the Outback steak knife. Real men use a machete, you know that, right? You, stand up. Let me see your Outback steak knife. See what I'm saying? Now, who's gonna win it? I got a machete that's 18 inches plus a handle. It's just, hello.
Also,
So-
you're Jason as the brute force Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was very fortunate because I was picking up from part 4-ish, and I really got to create a character that everybody has had to step into the shoes, so to speak. So I think everybody up to the fact has done a great job. It's been fortunate that it's become so iconic. You know, we did this over 3 decades ago. So how many people in here are 36 or younger? You weren't even sperm cells when we did this. Think about that. I mean that respectfully, I'm 66 years old. So you think about that going, dang, and you are the ones that's kept it going for longevity. I hope Terrifier and It and all these others have the same blessed successes that I've had, that 3 decades later, you even give a crap who I am. So we'll see what happens for them because they're doing great right now, but as longevity picks up, you know, there's gonna be competitive, but you folks 36 and under have kept me going, so thank you. You older, I don't think anybody as old as me, but you older, appreciate you very much, but you remember it. The thing about Friday the 13th or any film that you enjoy, the thing that you remember as a fan is the day you saw it. Was it your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother? Did you sneak around the corner when you weren't supposed to and peek and see it? You have those memories that you'll have forever. And I have people come up to the table all the time and say it. Oh, my brother, oh, I watched it with my mom. She's not with us any longer, but there's a memory attached to the horror film Friday the 13th.
And what is something important that you've learned by playing Jason?
Well, I got lucky first and foremost. So I always tell people, you know, luck is engaged. Once you get a job, sometimes you are the best qualified, you're not the best qualified, however you want to look at your resume. But once you get the job, if you don't produce, they'll reduce. Good example was with me. So I always tell people, sometimes luck is involved. It's not always the best qualified. It's, if you get an opportunity, just give it 120% and let the chips fall where they may. In my case, I got fortunate, I got lucky, and here we're having the same conversation over 30 years later.
Kind of speaking to the legacy of Friday the 13th, you know, it seems like every age group loves this movie. How does it feel to kind of see that? Like kids that love this as well, and teens and adults, and how does it feel to have that like multi-generational kind of draw?
Well, I go back to, like I said, I'm a little older than a lot, so I look at, you know, old military, I'm still honor and integrity. I had a little person, 5 years old, in full wardrobe walking around. You may have seen him, he was dressed up like Cain Hadda. Cain Hadda. Costume looks great. He's in character, he doesn't talk. Got the chain around his neck, right? Well, I took photo, I was in wardrobe tonight, did a photo op, and I took him in, he came in for the photo op. So that's the killer part about it, and I mean that with a pun intended, that this little monkey is 5 years old. Character doesn't talk. Dad has to talk for him because he's in his hockey mask. And it goes through, like you said, I had a young person in Houston this past year, 4 years old. And me, I embarrassed myself, of course, because he's got hair down in the middle of his back, and I'm saying, "Oh, my young lady, your hair is beautiful." Oh boy. Okay. So moving on from that, I said, "Can I give you a free autograph picture?" Because I apologize, but he's still 4 years old. He's still, but the hair, never had a haircut, and he had black fingernail polish. So, you know, you never know who's going to go to your table. So I don't call A, B, C, D, they, them, that, whatever. I just call everybody human now. Human, 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 human. Hey, how the humans doing back there? Good to see you. Because I would never intentionally hurt anybody's feelings. And I don't, you know, I'm kind of old. It's hard for me to catch what's going on each day. So I just call everybody, hey, human, human. Now, we all know there might be a Martian out there somewhere, right? We all believe in UFOs to a point. So, but I just call everybody human now. So when this little human comes up to me, about 8 months later, I recognized him. And I said, "Dude, what are you doing? High five, yada, yada." And his grandma is the one that brought him to the show. Grandma's my age, 4 years old. So there's that generational slot we're talking about.
Do we have any audience questions?
We'll start in the back, because you all sitting back, yeah, don't look back and forth, human.
Human in the back, sitting on the plank.
Who's your favorite Jason?
Who's your favorite Jason?
There are others? I thought it was just part 6 and it was over. What?
Yeah.
What?
To be fair, Cain has said that,
Who?
Cain has said that, aside from himself, you are his favorite Jason.
I ain't giving him the same respect.
He did put himself first.
Exactly. I'm just gonna stay, there's first and there's last. I don't give participation awards, boys and girls. So first, last. Try harder, you get first. Like I said earlier, sometimes you get lucky, you get a part, you gotta produce or they'll reduce. Listen, not everybody's meant to be number 1, all right? And number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, I always say, as long as you participated, you're part of the team. So, you know, Mr. Hodder, thank you for the promotion of being number 2, but I'm number 1, and there are no number 2s. So this Mr. Cain could be, or Derek, or Ken, or Ted, or Richard, or you want to go through the list? Number 1.
I saw one way back there in the pink. Yes.
Hi. If I say yes, does that mean it's my child? Because I'm going to take the 5th Amendment on everything. I've been advised by attorneys. So, because in my day they didn't have cameras and phones. It was 35 millimeter, 110, and all that tape and you know, the little tapes they have for the film have all went to poop. So I apologize, I do not. What did you say?
Rochester? From Rochester, Minnesota? NerdCon.
I was there. So that's as far as I'm gonna go. Don't you hate people when they're like, "Oh yeah, I can't do that." So, but hi, it's an honor to see you again.
Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm curious, because to me it has some of the best kills of the whole franchise. What is your favorite kill, and what was the most challenging kill to film?
Well, my favorite kill will always be similar as my twin brother Kane Hodder. He likes his sleeping bag, I give him credit. I got to kill the sheriff by bending him backwards. Insane formalities, there's no blood, no guts, it's just pure power. And terrifying, to be quite honest. As far as challenging isn't really much of anything. I mean, at the time when you're 28, you know, again, you're so full of you know what that you think you can do anything, float. So you kind of just go through the cycle and do your job, you know. But like I said, looking back on it, 20 feet underwater, what was I thinking?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but Tom said some of the water scenes were like shot in his parents' pool.
Yeah, so those of you, when the water scenes for part 6 are 4 different bodies of water. First, we're at the stagnant lake. I'll always remember that, kind of going back to yours, because I come out of the stagnant lake and nobody tells me that there's water moccasins and leeches. So I come out and the girl, he's cold, go jump in a shower right there, and the wardrobe girls want to check me out. I'm thinking, dude, they want to look for leeches. And when they told me, well, what do you mean leeches? Well, you know there are leeches out there. It's a stagnant lake and water moccasins. Nobody told me that shit. I got another stun bump. So that's one. Secondary one, when they set me on fire, was a smaller pool area. Third one was a 20 feet dive pool, and the fourth one was where they shot the underwater component with the boat and the motor, and that was Tom McLaughlin's mother and father's pool in their backyard.
Any other questions out there?
Wow. Really?
We used them up. It's all right. We got enough.
Yeah. So you've done some films recently. Can you tell us a little bit about Teddy Told Me To?
Yeah. So I retired 6 years ago from running casino resorts, and it gave me the opportunity to I'll do 10, 12, 13 conventions a year. Like I said, there's an opportunity to do a lot. But number one, I don't want to burn you out with me.
Is that possible?
Yeah, well, I just, but secondarily, I'm retired. So if you do, let's say 12, it's a 3 and/or 4 day commitment between travel and everything. So I think 30 days, 36 days a year, which is 10% of 365, is more than enough. Plus, I have a ranch, I have horses and alpacas. So there's real horse shit on the bottom of these boots. These aren't for show. With that being said, you could do a lot more, but I'm satisfied with just doing 12, 13. And everybody's booking well in advance. I've already booked 10 for next year. And Billy asked me about doing Atlanta in the end of January, I believe. And I just got a call for the London Comic Con. I believe it's in the first weekend of March in London. So I mean, people are getting a little more ahead of the curve and getting you earlier because there are quite a few conventions out there. Some are bigger than others, but at the end of the day, I did a show this year or an event for one night. It was at the Eloise Sanitarium. It's a psychiatric hospital in Michigan, which was built in 1832, closed in 1984. Not only is it terrifying when you walk through there, looking at what could have been, they've done paranormal investigations there. Discovery Channel's been there and done things, but the property next to it has 7,000 bodies buried with little granite numbers. Now that's 7,000 people that they told they buried. You follow my drift? Because they did some weird shit back in those days. So the property next to it, 7,000 bodies with, like I said, concrete. Question is, how many people really died there? So it's kind of, you walk in there and you're like, okay, yep, I'm out of here. Because see, Jason, if I can get my hands around your neck, I own you. But if I can't see you, can't touch you, I'm out of here. I'm leaving it for the next badass, right? Because some of you think you can handle that shit, go for it. If I can see it, I got you. If I can't hold it, touch it, I'm out.
It is almost the Christmas holiday season, and your lovely wife makes some amazing Jason wreaths.
Everybody,
Is she still doing that?
Yeah, everybody seems to know my wife more than me, believe it or not. Hey, how's Ruby doing? Did Ruby come to the show?
Yes.
No. Oh. I mean, even promoters. Hey, is Ruby coming? Okay. Hello. She started goofing around a year ago making wreaths. and she puts an autographed machete and autographed mask in them, and she sells them for fun.
And they're beautiful.
They keep calling her, and I want one with a holiday theme. I want one with a Halloween theme, or I want one with a holiday Christmas theme, or I want one with a turkey theme, and she puts them together. She took one of the bedrooms and took the bed out and all that stuff and gave it away,
Made a craft
turned
room.
it into a craft room. So, I walk by and she's just sitting in there, having a great time with her cat, sitting next to her, watching everything she's doing. So she's still doing them. She does go to shows occasionally. She went to
She was in
Sweden.
Spooky Empire with you.
Yeah, she went to Sweden with me this year, and then Spooky Empire, we were able to make a vacation. I went down there with $20 in my pocket, made $50, and then came home with $20 because we stayed and went to the ocean and goofed off for a week. She went to Sweden with me this year, and then she scored a ride with me to go to Oklahoma because her sister lives in Oklahoma. So she thought she'd make a vacation and go for a whole week. Yeah, so hey, where's Ruby at? Oh man, I thought, hello, I thought I was the one that was supposed to be the celebrity. And they have people, because going back to what you said about
Yeah.
Teddy was a show done, and there's there's a gentleman in Henderson outside Las Vegas that has a museum, done a lot of special effects, good name for, he put together a movie. I always say if you want me to do something, I'll do it. So I did a small part in it. 13 Fanboy, I did another part in. You guys may know Deborah Voorhees and Laura Park Lincoln.
And everyone
Joe,
else in that movie.
Dee Williams, and Kane Hodder died in that movie for the record. I did not. I saved the day at the end until Julie comes in and shoots the guy I'm fighting, but I'm alive for part 2. Then you may remember back in the early 90s, I did a thing called Highway to Hell, played a hell cop with Christy Swanson, the original Buffy and Vampire. You guys know Ben Stiller?
Just a little bit.
He's got like 6 seconds in it. I bitch slap him. Pretty much it. His mom and dad are in it. His sister's in it. So it's one of those things that the company bankruptcy 2 weeks before distribution to theaters. So it sat dormant until a few years back. MGM United bought all the library, and now it's on Blu-ray and stuff like at Walmart and stuff. So I do a couple. I did Avengers where I played Jason's father, Elias Voorhees. I grew a beard for 5 months, put a long stringy wig on me, so I look like a Viking or an outdoor woodsman. And I play off of another gentleman who plays Jason Voorhees. And
Was there a part 2 to that as well?
there's a part 2 to that too. And there's Tom Matthews is in it. Tom McLaughlin is in it. Darcy from part 6 is in it. Ruby's in it. So with that, now she's got fame because she got to be in movies.
Get her at a con, get her a
See, there we
table.
go again.
She can sell wreaths instead of
Well, she said
autos.
people, I want to buy a wreath. And by the way, do you have any pictures from Vengeance that I could buy from you with your autograph? I'm like, really? So I contacted the guy that does my photos. Said, can you make me 50 photos of this one? And she's holding a heart with Jason Brooks, who plays Jason, and blood coming out of her mouth. So she signed it and sent it to him with the wreath. But the wreaths are funny because she charges like $235. But when you think about it, the 2 autographs with a machete and a mask are $140.
Well, it's so worth it. It's not
Yeah.
mass produced in a factory.
Yeah.
It's handmade.
Yeah,
It's
and then
specialty
35% it.
wreath.
So she makes a whopping maybe $40 on
Right.
it.
All that time she puts
But
into
she
it.
does them. She loves doing it. She's very creative. I mean, she put the Christmas tree up yesterday. Don't come to my house because there's shit everywhere that she made, put up, and floral this and floral that. And I'm like, honey, just because you got it doesn't mean you have to use it all. Save it for your wreaths.
I put mine up on Wednesday.
Oh. She
There's
sent
some
Bill
hiding
Days
there.
of the Dead one last year. Just surprised him by sending him one for his house. So,
How does one go about ordering one from her?
I don't know.
Just find her on Insta and say, I want a wreath.
Yeah,
Go.
it's
This is the Ruby Show.
the Ruby Show. Yeah, I really don't know. I guess that's kind of poor promoting.
Help the missus out.
I think it's called, what'd you call it? Wreath, what? Killer Wreaths.
Yeah, killer
It's
wreaths.
called Killer Wreaths.
They're so great.
Something,
Killer
Yeah.
wreaths by Ruby.
I guess. I can't promote her. She's already above me. People ask me all the time, oh shit, well, what's her handle? Or, you know, what, she's on Twitter? I think so. Well, what's her name? I don't know. I don't. You know, so they go through and they'll find her though. You know, they find her.
So can you share some favorite Friday memories from filming?
Well, the first scene will always be my favorite. The first scene is where I got to put the wardrobe on. You're late. Yeah, go ahead, get up here. We're waiting for another question. So, yo, Buffalo Bill, you're up when we get done with it, okay? Okay, I'm talking to you, brother. Okay? So, favorite memories were the first scene where I got to wear the wardrobe. First time I got to put it on. It's the scene where you see Jason's profile come in, the motorhome is behind and moving. I turn, look at it, tilt my head, start walking towards it. That's my very, very first scene in the movie. It'll always be my very, you know, one that I love and respect because I got to wear the wardrobe. Never been in a film before, let alone anything else to do with movies. You know, I didn't even know what Screen Actors Guild was. They Taft-Hartley'd me into the union, which means they had to pay a fine to get me in. So I'm like, didn't even know what that meant. So I really didn't understand it till I went back in the civilian world after the movie. And the next job I took over was for Jackie Collins, Joan Collins' sister. Jackie and Oscar had a private club restaurant in Beverly Hills Center, underneath in Beverly Hills. Members only, 2 big black doors, that's all you would see. And everybody from Stallone to Prince would be members, and you gotta go through 2 locked doors to get in. And I was the GM. And it just happens that somebody who was a manager of an agency said, well, you got a SAG card? I go, yeah. What are you gonna do with it? I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to do with it? So he immediately put me out there with Cunningham and some other agencies for commercials. So I got to do some Colgate, Gatorade, AT&T, Miller Beer commercials, and those were fun, you know. So, and then of course Highway to Hell, and then I decided I'm going back, go back in the casino industry. Went back to Las Vegas for the next 20 some odd years, and ended up fortunately being a chief operating officer, general manager of 2 casino resorts. So I had about 2,300 employees on any given day. Good solid $103 million payroll, benefits. So it was quite a grow, but I do go back to being in the military because that's where I learned about taking care of business, so to speak. I'm pretty good with numbers, which was easy. So it was fun. I enjoyed it.
What made you decide to go into the casino industry?
In the-
Of all the industries you could choose.
Well, in the early 80s, first 3 years of the 80s, maybe 4 years, I was a dealer at the Circus Reno, Craps 21 Roulette. Could you see my big ass in a pink shirt? And before it was cool. But I started actually selling change in Del Webb, Sahara, Tahoe, Lake Tahoe. And then I looked around, I saw the pit. I said, oh, those folks make good money. So I went and transferred into security so I could meet the pit bosses and the casino manager taking chips to the table. And then I went to dealing school. In those days, you put your black and whites on after work or before work, and you practice for free with a dealer standing next to you watching while you practice your cards. And one day, the casino manager went by and said, he's ready. In those days, they had personnel, not human resources. So go to personnel tomorrow and transfer over, and the next day I was a dealer.
Can you still deal?
Yes, I can. I can pitch a card. And crap, 7 out, line of wheat, last comes the notes, got some point, was 8, here we go, coming out. Yeah, I can do that too, and I can take your money.
Any other audience questions
Yeah,
out
right
there?
back there, Buffalo Bill, what do you got?
So when you first put on the mask, how did that, in the mirror, like how did that feel?
So I'm gonna throw that question back at you. When you put that mask down that you just wore a moment ago,
Yeah.
think about it, and everybody knows where I'm coming from. As soon as you pull the mask down, or put Mikey's face on, or even put a clown face on, whatever you do, you ever notice how your own characters just shift?
Even the COVID mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything just shifts. And for those of you that dress up in anime or Superman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Man, Spider-Human, whatever, you ever notice as soon as you get into that flavor, your whole body changes. You stand up a little straighter, you walk a little more with definition. It's just a natural thing that we do. As soon as we get into quote unquote an imaginary world, we become a little more confident, is the way to put it. I think everybody, we have a lot of folks that aren't real confident with themselves, but could you imagine putting everybody in a wardrobe and doing a show for a few weeks to get that confidence level up, so as soon as you take the mask off, they still got the confidence level? I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but it's true, think about it. I've met a lot of people that, you know, when they're in costume, wardrobe, they're like, and when they cut to my tail afterwards, they're quiet. I said, no, go back to what you were, because you was a badass. So yeah, you know, when you pull that mask down, how do you feel? Empowered.
Yeah.
So it's just a natural thing we all experience, so it's kind of cool.
I saw a question right here.
Oh,
Teal?
yeah. What were you able to keep from the film? Like, were you able to keep any artifacts?
Well, I'm not sure how it happened, because 2 masks stayed in one of my bags. You know, I might have dropped them or they fell off the table or something. I don't remember specifics, right? So when I did my first show, like 20 years ago plus, it was me, Kane, and Laura Park Lincoln. And a dude came by and had a mask, and I knew it was a real mask. It had the bullet hole in it and stuff. And hey, this is real. You know, I could tell. Yeah, I got it from one of the special effects people. Oh wow. Do you mind if I ask how much you paid for it? He goes, yeah, I paid $6,000. I said, what? This was back in like '94. He paid $6,000 for it. Shit, I went home and dug through all those boxes in the garage. When I found the 2 I have, I sold one like the next week on eBay. I kept one from the opening with kind of the 007 opening. I still have that one. I have photos of me wearing it. I got pictures of me pretending I'm the director, looking through the lens as Jason and stuff. So I have I have a letter from Voorhees, William Voorhees, who did the map. He made them. So I got my ducks in order for that. So I've signed the inside of it, put it in a shadow box, and given it to my son. I did notice that somebody from, I think, Germany, who had a very large collection that he had assembled of Friday the 13th, I think sold everything earlier this year. And I saw that a mask, not sure from which one, but it sold for 93,000 American dollars. I mean, really? So I still got one. But I don't know how it, I'm sorry, I don't know how it got them. I don't, it just, what the hell? And it was such a long trip back to Atlanta. I said, you know, I'm just not gonna worry about it.
In that sort of scenario, how do you know you're buying something authentic? Like, is there something that goes along with it, a certificate or something? But I mean, it's
See,
still old.
certificates to me are what they are, a certificate. What I did though, when I saw William Porsche, it's with an F, Porsche with an F, years later, I said, hey, you know, I still have it. He goes, hey, let me take a look at it. Yeah, this is my mouse. And I had him write a letter that was authentic. And obviously you look at me and you see pictures of me in it, and do I look like I'm gonna lie? You know, but what I recommend is, like, I ran casino resorts. That means I would have everybody from the Beach Boys to Dolly Parton, you know, performing for me. And in the contract, it always said I had to sign 5 guitars. So I always got signed guitars by give or take 55 people. Even Davy Jones, who passed away, Eddie Money, Debbie Reynolds signed a microphone with Steven Tyler a microphone. So I've got all these things in my closet. They're just in boxes. But I also have the contracts. You know, this person was 150,000. This person was 500,000, and it's a complete contract. So that'll go with those. If I won't ever sell them. Ruby will. But I won't ever sell them. But I got them in case I opened up a club or a bar somewhere. I had all my paraphernalia, because I opened up the original Hard Rock in Las Vegas in about '94. So I kind of got that vibe, you know, with motorcycles and guitars and costumes. But I have a lot of guitars, you know, a lot of microphones and guitars.
Any other audience questions? Yes, you?
No, since we're in the casino, and we all know Kane loves to play poker. Have you ever played poker with him?
No, because I'm smarter. All right? Everybody understands statistics, algorithms, numbers, percentage margins. All right? I'll give you an example. I work in Quad Cities, about 150 miles south of us on the river, on the Illinois side. In late 90s, I was vice president, general manager of a riverboat down there called Jumer's Casino and Hotel. Everything is based off a million decisions, period. Most people don't play pure poker. It took me 6 months to get the gaming board to understand how I could put 100% video pokers on the boat and make money. They didn't comprehend, with women, you gotta pay back 100%, how you making money? most people, when they get 2 of a kind, they're going for 4 of a kind. They're not gonna go after the royal flush. And, you know, Kane loves his poker, but I'm smart enough that I wouldn't play poker or gamble or put, you know what, if Megabucks ever hits 20 million, I'll get $21, which is, $21 is 7 pulls, it's $3 a pull. And I'll try it as I'm walking by in somebody else's casino. I was never allowed to play in my casinos because of my authoritative figure. But I will tell you, I don't gamble. I never made a racing sports book bet in my life, even though I'm running the place. You know, I don't play slot machines, blackjack, craps. Craps is your best odds. House advantage is 1.43. But you have to know how to play the bets, place the bets, you know, take the bets down, put your place bets up, come in full odds and take them back down in time, rather than just sit there and let the money flow. Now, I have seen rolls that last an hour, but it's far and few between. You know, those are beautiful billion-dollar casinos now. Make you Kane hotter, because you're still paying a rake. You know, when you're in poker, you've got to put money in it. You get a rake, it's called, and some rakes are $4 and it's high limit, or $10. So casinos making money off those people sitting there, and they're playing with each other.
Any other questions out there?
What was Tom McLaughlin like working with as a director? Do you have any interesting story or quirks that he has? Or?
Does anybody know Tom McLaughlin, the writer director of Part 6? You met him? Easiest guy in the world. He's 71, I think, 2 maybe. He's in a rock and roll band called the Sloths. All right, if you look it up on YouTube. He played with the Sloths back in the late 60s. He opened for the Doors, Whiskey Go-Go. Then he stopped and went into mime and writing, directing, etc. He still teaches professor down in LA. Tom is about the easiest to go person. He just relaxed. You know, it's the same thing when you meet Alice Cooper. Just relaxed as can be, just a full-blown gentleman. You know, I've never heard Alice over the years, or Tom, and I'm talking, I've had the pleasure of working with him multiple times. Never heard him get derogatory, talk negatively, even say the word shit, to be honest. They're just very classy individuals.
Any other questions out there? So, you know, you taught yourself, you learned the casino industry, you learned stunts, you learned in the military. It seems like you know, are really drawn to teaching yourself new things, learning things. What's kind of your process when you're trying to learn something new?
Well, you know, I always ask people to come to the table, you know, that, okay, a young person, oh, do you have a mom or do you have a dad? Because they're with the opposite. And the reason I ask that is my dad died when I was 3. I don't want to start talking about your mom and she passed away. It would be disrespectful. Oh, do you have a mom? No, she passed away. Okay, now I'm going to change my tune. Oh, yeah. Well, my dad died when I was 3, so I remember being roughly 5 years old, being told I'm the man of the family, my little brother. So we lived off Social Security. No food stamps, just Social Security. So I remember just living in a little cabin with a pull-out bed from the couch my mom slept on, and my little brother and I had a bunk bed. So for me, I just had to be self-starting. I would take things apart and figure them out. I can honestly sit up and say that I've had people working with PhDs, MBAs, CPAs, yada, 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 bachelors, but they reported to me. I'm very proud to say that I have a 4-year college degree, which is called an honorable discharge from the military, right next to my high school diploma. So with that being said, it was OJT. And I do have a PhD, for the record, in common sense. So common sense applies into 99% of what I do. And I was always good with numbers, but I only took pre-algebra in high school. So, you know, like I said, 49 years ago, I got the last 2 years of Vietnam and the first 2 years of the Cold War, 74 to 75, then into 78. I just took what they taught me there, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, I'm sure somebody's had better experiences than others, and have applied it throughout my career. When you come up to my table, you know, I'm gonna razz you. Buffalo Bill right there, you know. I'm gonna give you a hard time, Buffalo Bill. Michael Myers, he'll eat anything. I'm gonna give you shit the whole time, but I would never intentionally hurt your feelings. And when you leave, for those of you who've been at my table, what do I say? I shake your hand and say, honor to meet you. And I mean that. So, I'm pretty light-hearted about things. I've been pretty fortunate, more than fortunate, lucky. So here we are having fun and talking shit.
Yes. So I think I can speak for all of us. It's an honor to meet you as well, for sure. a lot of us have loved you since we were little bitty children.
Here we go again.
Little bitty children.
I'm an old fart. You know?
Hey, I'm the one that was alive when the movie was made. I'm one of those.
You were in
percent.
diapers.
No.
Yeah, so, but you know, it's like, you know, February I'll be 67. So to me, I look at it, it's like, you know what the cool thing about being 66 is, guys? And I want y'all to take note. Guys, well, maybe some girls too, but guys, probably 5 or 6 people at the bar out of 10 I can still whoop their ass, right? Check this out. Get your ass whooped by a senior citizen, embarrassing. Now the 4 that might be able to whoop my ass, I'll say it again, might be able to, embarrassing. You beat up a senior citizen. And it's a felony. I'm looking good no matter what. So I'm gonna give you options before we get down. And in either way, you can look bad. So most likely, if you have someone telling, you know, I think we'll just let this call it a draw and walk away. But yep, like it, don't you? Remember that when you hit that age, you know, you go, yep, senior citizen, felony.
So, who is your biggest inspiration, either in life or in the industry?
Wow, good question. I never had that one thrown at me. I kind of miss the old athletes that used to be role models, you know, compared to today. And I respect the me. I get it. But when you're in the military or running casino resorts, me, it's real simple. It's an M. Turn upside down 180, it's a W, it becomes we. That was real complicated, wasn't it? I'm a big fan of we. So I look for unity and people want to work as a unit. When you're in the military, I was a sergeant, a platoon sergeant in the infantry. If you ever go down, your squad leaders better know what to do because everybody's butts depends on it. So I always came up with 3 words in the casino industry, and I've taught all my executives: qualify, quantify, simplify. Now, if I can run $1 billion resort off that simplicity, I'm sure that most people with MBAs and bachelors can put together. And I think it's great when you get to school because that's a 4-year commitment. The only difference between a 4-year commitment in the military, you don't get to take a quarter down, you don't get to call in one day, you don't get to say, you know, I'm gonna drop a couple classes till next semester. It doesn't work that way. That's called Article 15. So at 6 a.m. at PT, you show up. You got a 4-year commitment, it's a 4-year commitment. And it doesn't matter what time of the day is, you know, you're on duty. So it's a little different. But I do respect y'all when you get your degrees, and I think it's wonderful you do it. It shows commitment. I had a young lady who works for me, Lisa, at Thunder Valley Resort Casino, and it's a $1 billion resort. They just finished a $100 million venue, entertainment. Well, when I was there, we put an entertainment venue outside with 4,800 seats. It was a summer concerts. And it's been so successful over the last 6 or 7 years, and now they spent $100 million for a venue to put the venue up. So I used to just go ahead and look at things numerically. It doesn't have to be complicated. Put together a spreadsheet, put numbers into it, and qualify it, quantify it, simplify it. Everybody knew what to do. So, you know, I'm not a real complicated individual. You know, I don't have that many brain cells. You know, it's too much work. So, you know, my aspirations, people I looked up to were people that I could look up to, you know, and I looked at them as a leader. Somebody that I find inspiration in, rather than just go, okay, another person, that's cool. But I look up to the old school athletes. At one time, it wasn't about me. It was, you know, there were a lot of, in the old days, and I mean back in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s, athletes and people were part of a unique group of people that were expected to be role models. I get back to the word me versus we. It's changed dramatically in the last decade or two, and so it's kind of tough to look around anymore and say, oh, you know. Now if I had to pick somebody, Kate Hunter. So I got to give my man credit.
Were there any, were there any Jason kills that you didn't get to do that you wish you got to do?
Well, I would have never done Jason in space. That was ridiculous.
Thank you.
You know, and I've had, you know, Tom McLaughlin has written a new one, a script. It's called Jason Never Dies. It's interesting. He's been talking about it for about 3 years. And, you know, people go, would you ever resurrect? And even Tom has asked me if I'd do it. I would entertain the option. However, if I can't give you a product as good or better than part 6, I wouldn't do it, because I'm not going to embarrass myself. I don't want to be that NFL player that comes back and just is a disaster. They come back for the money, but not the principle. But if I could give you a product that was as good or better, I'd entertain it. It's a great script. He's got it down pretty cool how he's written it. But at the same time, you know, it just depends on what we do next. Again, if I had to do something, I'm not really sure. For those of you that are young, when you hit the ground, you tuck and roll, correct? For those of you that are old, you hit the ground, go thump. And then you kind of go, okay, yeah. So you don't want to see my big ass get out of the bathtub. It's like a friggin' turtle rolling over. No, I ain't bullshit. Oh, Jesus, you know. And then you gotta push up, and then you're like, who's staying in the hotel? I hate this, but I gotta tell you, you're gonna laugh. You ever notice how the hotel toilets are 15 inches? Now, my house, they're 17. When you hit it in a hotel, you drop about 6 feet and thump. It's not real smooth, right? Now, you young folks, you got all that body and money. Me, I hit that sucker, I'm not gonna drag myself out. It's like, Jesus. Where's the handle to pull myself up, right?
You're also like 6
Am I
foot
true?
4, and I'm like 5 foot nothing.
Is it
so-
hard? You're like this
No, when
big,
you're
right?
5 feet, it's fine.
See, but my point is, look at my knees compared
Yes.
to you. Look at this.
I know, like I said.
Look at this.
5 foot
This is,
nothing.
I'm down this
Look,
much lower.
my feet don't even touch the ground.
Who can fit in the, I mean this respectfully, who can fit in their bathroom in their room? I'm standing there, the door's hitting my elbow, the toilet's hitting my leg, and I'm thinking, damn, man, it's like, and then we sit there, the handle's right there. So I just grab the handle and pull myself up.
Yes.
But you should see my big ass getting out of a bathtub. It ain't pretty. No pride here, I'm realistic.
Any other audience questions? I think we have time for like 1 or 2 more. Anybody? Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you would be interested in trying? Because you have done a lot of things.
I've jumped out of planes, that was cool in the military, I've done this. You know, for those of you that giggle and laugh, you know, if a lot of people didn't know this till 6 years ago because I kept it under wraps. Let's go back to the 80s when you had the 35 millimeter, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, but if you pull up C.J. Graham Chippendales,
Yes.
1987, boys and girls, California, LA, Culver City, you'll see pictures of me in cuffs and collars and yada, yada, yada. So I've done that. I opened up the first Playboy Club in Las Vegas at the Palms. I was vice president of casino operations. So I can honestly say I'm the only guy that ever wore cuffs and collars and worked with cuffs and collars in the world. I can say that logistically. So I've been fortunate. I said earlier, I've been lucky. You know, sometimes you gotta take a chance and go after it. You gotta believe in yourself, of course, but I've left jobs for other jobs with a higher promotion. Going from a casino boss to a casino manager to a vice president. I've had the pleasure of working for Steve Wynn, George Maloof at the Palms, and then of course running units, but I don't know if there's anything else you know, I'm 66, so I always say I'm in the last 10% of my life. So the first 90% has been pretty cool. Thank you very much, because of you. So.
And last but not least, we have all seen Friday the 13th, Part 6, like a ton of times.
Yeah.
Like over and over and over
That's
again.
my butt walking away, just so you know. You see that going to that's my ass.
What is a film that you have seen a ton of times?
You know, I like Top Gun, even the new one. I watch it again because there's some cool scenes in it. But you guys remember in 1986, the #1 movie was Top Gun, when this came out in August of 1986. So going back, sometimes you may not realize, but I enjoyed, you know, watching Top Gun. I think Tom is a phenomenal, for sure, actor. He does 99% of his own stunts, you know, and he's in his late 50s. He's a badass. I don't know about his background, his life, his
Well, he's a
personal
very
stuff.
talented actor, you know.
But dude is, you know what? I think he's like 59 or 58-ish. But he's driving off cliffs in motorcycles and pulling parachutes.
He's insane.
Thank you. But he got a lot of money. Right? But you know, I haven't seen the last one yet, but I did like his Top Gun, I think, to read. But I also heard, I've read somewhere that I think they're gonna redo the Thunder with the race car driver. You know, I think,
Days of Thunder, yeah.
yeah, you know, I like to listen, Fast and Furious and all those are great films. My only problem with it, again, they're great films, great actors, congratulations. But how many times can you jump out of a plane, land on a tank, do a backflip, pick up a 50 cal machine gun and shoot somebody? Jason, you open up the window and there he is. and he moving. That's some serious shit. But I like all the green screens and the AI. I think that's really cool. But the simplicity, remember I said going back to qualify, quantify, simplify. The simplicity of Jason standing there, even Mikey Myers with his Outback steak knife. You know, it's done with, you know, there's a lot of, I call them independent films out now. I know people call them fan films, but they do a great friggin' job with their phones and editing. I call them independent films because they're well put together. I just think it's kind of nice how the simplicity of a Michael Myers or It, you know, that's kind of wicked. You start thinking about that. So, you know, I look at these films from a completely different point of view than others.
Everyone, give it up.
Thank you. Thank you for being Hunter too.